Good morning, everyone. Thank you for getting up on this Sunday morning after your brain dead yesterday with all the different ones. I'd like to recognize first the people that are helping me. First of all, I am Bonnie Foley. I am from Central New York, and I worked on the Ropes movie that the U.S. Lacrosse is putting out. The purpose of this demonstration today is to show you live in 3D the actual ropes instruction. The focus of this is instruction, how to instruct, all right? Very nicely, Exeter Township High School players have come to volunteer so we can have some players to make it a little bit more real. It's not as real as a game where you have 14 bodies in the arc, but it gets closer. Dave Schiffman is also helping me today. He's from Central New York. Karen Condola is from Massachusetts. And my two officials are from Central New York, Sheila Donahue and MJ Bruman. We're not going to do everything that's in the movie. So what we selected first to do is the warning track. The first thing in the movie is the quadrant system, where you can teach officials, especially beginning officials, the 4 quadrants, where the ball placement is, where the official placement is. If you're working with local 1 and 2s, especially 2s, and you don't want to put all the quadrants down, or you want them to get a more natural flow, you can start with the warning track. Now, the warning track, if you saw the things online, which is probably no, correct? Did anybody see the handouts online? Yay, 1, 2. So the warning track goes from the top of the circle to the goal line. And the purpose of this is to have people think about it and not get planted in that area. Now, if you look at the area, if a person gets planted here, and especially if they're square to the goalie, that they're trying to look through the goal, and their primary focus is the goalie. We want people to go below the goal line, follow play, move the play, go with the flow of play, understand the next potential pass, and be able to move through it to get in the proper position. Okay? So our lead official, MJ, is up. And maybe what we'll do is with U.S. Lacrosse, we'll try to get our drills posted. We can scan them in and post them. All right, so what we have here is we're starting with a little bit more advanced type of concepts where the player is going to be behind the goal. So the official has to get in position to see the player and be ready for the next potential play. So she cuts in, she has action, and then we're stressing the person moving through the warning track to be ready for the shot. So very simply, what you have here is you have something that's starting below, and then the person has to come high. When we rate officials and look at officials a lot of times, the biggest thing is that we talk to them about that they don't come high enough and they don't go low enough, that they like that middle zone and just stay in that middle zone. Okay, go ahead. Pass comes out, we have a curler, and then the other thing about the warning track that we're looking at is that you use the warning track, which also teaches the person to get prepared for tangent. All right, now, the other thing is a complicated skill for officials to understand is that when we have wrapping the goal circle, and wrapping the goal circle, you have to try to think of some cues that the person can think of that they can actually understand it. So you can say that opposites attract, or that the official wants to go the opposite way. The lead official is going the opposite way of the player. So when the player starts behind the goal and is wrapping what I would call trail side, what you have there is the player went to her right, the lead official went to her left. All right, so opposites, then she's in place, goes through the warning track. The one that some people have difficulty with is actually when the wrapper wraps the lead official's same side. So now what we have is she comes in, and again, that the player would come up and the official actually goes down and has to come in. All right? In a 2-person system, if you had an extreme change, but they were wrapping on the other side and something extreme happened that you got caught, you would hope that your trail would help you on your far side. So let me just What happens is when the player comes here, it's impossible, no matter how good the lead is, to see that person coming through. Then the person is here. So then we know that the trail has a pretty good look. She's up where she belongs, okay? And then as it goes here, this is where the view comes in. But as a lead, the crucial place sometimes is the position from just about here to just about here. Because it's almost, no matter how good you are and what you do, it's a blind place for the lead official. Okay, can you ladies do that one more time? You did an excellent job. So obviously when you're teaching this to people, you want to keep it simple. You just want a couple players. So now we have the same on the other side. She's asking for the ball. She's rolling. And then we have an opposite feed, the feed coming from the opposite side. And then later in the presentation, we're going to get into the view the official has and how the official is standing. But now we're just concentrating on the actual motion of it, the motion of the official. So in your training, it's pretty easy just to throw down. Obviously, it's the goal line, so if you have a goal line, you don't have to worry about putting something there. And you just need one rope or strap to stretch it across the field to give that mark to go. All right? The next thing we're going to show is tangent.
When we're talking about tangent, this is, again, the whole purpose of this is how we show people. You all know it. That's not the point.
Okay,
We're not talking at you like that. It's a visual. We want to be aware that the whole purpose of being on tangent, primarily, when we started out officiating back in the day, if the kids went over the goal circle, the plane above it, we had to really be in position to see that. We no longer have to be. It's just the foot. Nonetheless, being in the tangent position gives us the best view through the space, through the players, to be able to see, yes, a goal circle violation, but also various fouls on the body that will occur in the shooting process, both by the offense and the defense. So the purpose of the rope here, you see we have the carabiner or something that holds the rope in the middle where we can get an absolute right angle. So you can have the player with the ball and another clinician or partner, whoever's working with you, stands right on her hip. So as she moves, both umpires will be able to move the rope and you can maintain the right angle, which is what a tangent is. So your lead umpire will actually hold the rope. So let's start by just moving to the near side. Just sort of walk. You would just have the person walk, and you're just going to walk and maintain this right angle. And as she comes more this way, you see where the umpire has to drop fairly low to get onto this tangent. Great, and now we can walk back. So she's carrying the ball. You can go ahead. We're going to go all the way to the far side, so you can walk a little bit.
Let's get back in the arc.
Now, when you're doing this in your groups, you're going to probably want every one of your... Keep going ahead. Keep going. You're going to end up coming up to the second hashes. You're going to want all of your attendees to your clinic doing this. So it's going to take a few minutes to let everybody have a chance to walk through these things. Okay, now we can just sort of maybe jog a little bit. We'll come across, back and forth, so the people get used to this movement while they're holding the rope. Okay, let's come to an extreme position. You can even get them to the extreme. That's good.
Come on in. We're getting too far.
Good enough. That's fine. And you can see how low your near person has to get, and we can go back. Then let's go to the extreme far side.
Stay in.
No. Then it'll... Yeah, probably. Very good. I've always felt, as a geometry person, that if you really extend the concept of tangent all the way, over there, that person's, your lead umpire is going to end up on the other side of the center hash. Obviously, that doesn't happen. We don't quite go that far, so the perfect right angle isn't going to happen there. Be aware of that. There are practical reasons why we don't want the lead way over there. So there we go. And now a little bit of randomized movement. You can just sort of, you would let your people, so you can come this way, go back, just a little bit in either direction. They sort of jog it. And cut back the other way if you want. Good, thank you. So again, all your people are going to do this, but I think you see when you're actually holding the rope and you're moving, if you have an umpire, a relatively newer umpire who's not familiar with this type of movement, the visual of this rope is really going to help them. So now, we'll do a couple of demonstrations. So initially, the ball is up high, where it often would be, and our umpire is sort of she's out of the warning track and in a position where she kind of can be on tangent. If you can actually do this, holding the rope and moving it, it does get a little bit busy. There's a lot of bodies, but it can be done. So as this player cuts to goal, we'll just sort of walk through it. And you're going to go ahead and the pass is there, and you're going to get all the way through and turns. Right there, good, good. All right, so this gives us this movement. Let's do that one more time just so you can see that. So I'm the umpire here. The cutter's coming. And you'll see in a second, and we already mentioned this earlier, the result of this is the same as if a kid wrapped the goal. It's the same result, ultimately. But the position of the umpire initially is here because that's where she needs to be in relation to the play with her nice open view and seeing what could happen. If this player goes straight to goal, your lead umpire is exactly where she needs to be. Here's the pass. Go ahead, you guys can play. You can go a little quicker this time. And if you want to shoot and score, go ahead. There we go, wonderful. Okay, so that's the movement there.
When you're doing this as a demo with your people and you're having people run around, what our object here is what we did is we laid the ropes down is where we wanted the official to end up. Yeah. So that if people are having a hard time visualizing where they want to go, you place them where they're going to begin, you create the action, and then their target is that second rope position.
So we start with the ball below, so our umpire is going to be low in a position with an open body position. As she feeds we're going to feed to the top player. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? And so go ahead and feed. And you're coming on goal. And there we are. We don't even have to make that second pass. That's okay, though. So let's do that one more time, and we're going to freeze you before you shoot. Okay, go ahead. Play is on. Right up through, and there we go. And one more, and you can shoot and score. We can all see that. A great shooter. So play is on. And our umpire, look at that. Look where she ends up. If you got that rope there, we can really, really see that. If you're more of an outie as opposed to an innie, and you tend to be a little further out if you're tall, tangent is still tangent. You're further out along the rope. So it doesn't change anything. It's geometry. It doesn't change it at all. So you can have people, if you have time in your groups, hold the rope just right here for a second. You're going to leave it there. You're actually going to leave it. We're going to do that one next. So we don't have to move it. And then we'll switch it back. We got one more. So if you're more of an interior person and you're moving along your rope, it's fewer steps necessarily than if you're an exterior type of umpire, but you're still moving along. Okay, so now we have the next one where we have a girl wrapping, exactly. So let's start you over here just to show the wrap. So the umpire is low. Yep. Okay, so the play is here. I'm going to wrap that way though. Okay, go ahead. She's wrapping. You want to get right up to that white line. Okay? And we'll do one more. So the play starts low. Umpire's in position here. Now, yeah, I'll save that. Go ahead. All right, and then the near side wrap. And as Bonnie mentioned earlier in the discussion on warning track, this is the one that can give people fits. It's sort of counterclockwise. You're moving opposite the player. So initially, here we are. As she wraps, right, so let's actually start her up higher for the example. Okay, so she's actually there and going to wrap all the way. Go ahead. Other way. Yeah, all the way around, yep. See this crisscrossing type movement that the umpires are going to have?
So someone has to go grab that rope.
She's still going to score. Well done. Thank you. All right, let's get the tangent rope out of the way. So we're going to move on to discussing trail position.
Okay, a lot of times in our training, what we do is we spend a lot of time with lead, which is a lot to do. But the person that gets neglected sometimes is the trail.
Right.
And then as people go through the evaluation process and they try to move up in the ranks, what we find is that people have basic problems in their trail position that really shouldn't be there, but they are, okay? So the first thing we're going to cover is the area of responsibility, and I need someone to get the other red rope way over there. The good thing is sometimes is that most of the things we want to do is, the ropes, what they're doing is basically providing a visual for the official. We're very visual people. Some people are very concrete, very black and white, and if they see things, then they get a feel. My feeling is you get a feel of where you belong and where you should be. And then you develop in your game that you can adjust yourself because you start reading the game and you start feeling the game. But if you don't initially have the building block of basically what you're responsible for and about where you're supposed to be, the building blocks don't occur so that you develop that natural flow and that natural motion as an official, whether you're a lead or a trail. So now what we're showing here in our little short field here, and on the ropes movie, it's also kind of hard to see, but what's nice is you really see the official move. So what you would do in a field is that you would put the one box or board or peg it to the corner of the goal line and the sideline. As we know, the trail official is responsible from 2 steps, approximately 2 steps in from the center hash. They position themselves, 1, 2, all right? And then what happens is that they're responsible from that view that you're seeing. Can you pick them up a little bit, Sheila, so people can see? So they're responsible from that view all the way to the sideline. So if the ball should be kicked out that way or go out that way, that official's responsibility is to go that way. So now what we have is when the official has to go that way, if you see the ropes, now we see that the area that the official can see and take care of moves over. And then we have this all-important zone here. This portion of this area right here gives us a huge gap. And this is what you got to get your people to understand. This huge gap that's created that when the official goes towards a sideline or extremely has to shift, that puts more responsibility and that the lead has to get that bigger view in there, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that the trail isn't still helping in this area. What it means is that if the ball's going over this way to the sideline, that they obviously have the best view and their primary focus zone is the ball. And then the lead official, their primary focus is the whole arc and trying to help with could be up to 10 other players that are in the arc, the goalie and all that, okay? And you really need to explain that to your trail in that manner, that they would shift extremely to the side, and then when the ball comes back around, they shift back into the middle. So now what happens is when the ball is on the lead side, I like to divide the field up into 3 areas. You have a lane that's over here, that's kind of the lead lane. You have the center of the field that we know both officials share, and then you have the far sideline that really is the responsibility of the trail, okay? So now what happens when the ball is over here, our trail official knows that's her area of responsibility. So as the ball is over here, that's her area of responsibility. As it slowly comes this way, now the ball goes that way, we know that the trail official's primary look is the ball because our lead official is seeing the back or butt of the offensive player and probably the back or butt of the defensive player. And now it's on the far side. Now you think about all the different people that are in the arc and we say, who has the best view of this particular play, okay? So it's trying to get people to understand area of responsibility, who has the best view, and then what can you see and what can you not see where you're standing. Okay? Ball comes back around. You can throw it to her. Okay? And then when that happens, the trail shifts. They mostly go into the second, 2 steps off the center, and then it goes. Okay? If you started officiating when I did, the trail used to go to dead center. Now it's 2 steps off. The other thing we're going to look at, Dave's going to look at it, right, Dave? The offset? Okay. Then can we set up our second drill? All right, so then you want to set up scenarios that you add a couple players where you might want to start the ball, that the ball is starting on the lead side, it's passed close to or into the area that the trail would have, and then you would have a cutter from the far side and then make it. All right, now let's go back. Can you set it up again, ladies? You did a great job. So now let's talk about areas of coverage. So now what happens here is the ball is over here. This official, the trail official, is looking in her area of responsibility. She sees that there's a player behind the goal. We might have a lot more in there. And then what you want to do is pass it. So now you have kind of like a shared responsibility. Who has the best view? Can you stop for 1 second? Stop for 1 second. So now what we have is we threw the ball here. What is the trail seeing? She is seeing the back and butt of the offensive player. Okay? The lead is seeing through. She could come up a little bit more if she felt that she needed to see the space between the offense and defensive player. Now the cutter comes. All right? She sees the cutter. Now she's still visually there. Her awareness zone for the trail official is the ball. The pick is set. She wants to make sure that legal person's coming off it. And then the person is going to shoot. All right? So now the trail official, she has lots of responsibilities. She's off ball. She's watching for 3 seconds. She's watching for potential shooting space. She's watching for picks, illegal picks. She's watching for detaining. Okay? So when the ball is over here with this official, this player here, she knows the ball's there, but she has got to be aware of what's happening in her area. Okay? Good?
Okay. So, shooting space. We've heard talk on this many times at other sessions in the convention about, and on the movie it says it as well, one of the most difficult rules to call, one of the most confusing rules, one of the ones that leads to lots of discussion and sometimes perhaps disagreement between what we see on the field and maybe what other people on the sideline see. In shooting space, the foul is all about view and angle. So the ropes are going to be really, really helpful here to show that. Also gives you an idea of why maybe the view from the sideline isn't quite the same view as you have on the field. So initially, let's have just, can we have an offensive and a defensive player here? You're fine there, right on the second hash. We'll have a defense. Sheila, you can leave that down for just a second. We're just going to show offset position and marking within a stick length. So the trail, if our trail is not offset, is right behind, I'm going to actually defender just come to the side so they can see. Show us a nice within a stick length position. That's body instinct. Let's get you right up there. Now she's within stick length, and so now let's slide it into here. Take us 2 steps back.
Quickly, do you want him to run?
Do you think the umpire has a good view of knowing what the difference was in this space if she's right behind? Absolutely not. Hence, we want our umpire, our trail umpire in this situation, to be offset so that she can see the space between the players. Now, offset could be either side, depending on where the play is. A lot of this has to do, you get to a higher level of thinking, you have a good sense of which hand this player tends to shoot with, or that her body language is telling you she's going to shoot with, so you might offset on one side or the other. So this is one of our first criterion for shooting space, is the defender marking within stick length. And then, of course, the other things we need to be considering is, number one, is she in the critical scoring area? And does she have an opportunity to shoot? And is she looking to shoot? These are our criterion that we're thinking about, and the ropes will help us. Thank you, ladies. We're going to put you off to the side now. Now we're going to actually have the shooting space ropes. So you can have your trail person get your nice rope, and we're just going to show the shooting space. So let's go kind of to each side to the first hash, and then back to the other first hash, nice and slow so we can all see. And again, with time, if you'd like, that's fine. Sorry, I meant first inside, my bad. Just that far. Well, then I'll call second inside. And you could put them down and let each person have an opportunity to see the space. And now let's go over to the other second inside. Yeah, now we'll have to release. Okay, and we'll just stop and sort of put it down and see what they call, you know, the ice cream cone. All right, after everyone's had an opportunity to do that, then indeed, let's swing it out wide. Now, unfortunately, here in the space that we have, we do run out a little bit. If you'd like, Sheila, do you think it might be better to come to this side? Do you think you have more room on that? Okay, no, we'll do it here then. Sorry. All right, let's put it down for the folks to have a view of it for the moment. You'll see the shape of this starts to get narrower, and the further out wide you go, the narrower that shooting space shape becomes. And I think when you get to those extreme positions, obviously on this side it would be for the trail, on this side it would be for the lead. It's important for them to be able to see that difference. Okay, now let's come back to the center and we'll get our little blue ropes. One of the biggest confusions that we have with shooting space can be really easily shown with your ropes. You can see what we've done here, yes? So the blue ropes are now showing only what is a common misconception, that shooting space is a triangular cone-shaped space defined by the goal posts, which we all know our umpires are going to know, oh no, that's not what it says in the rule book, that's not what it is, it's from the goal circle. But now you can really see the difference visually, hence our ropes, of this space. As we come closer, and again, you can have one person demonstrate. Yeah, about there is probably as far as we want to go. Or you can demonstrate it for your group. You see the difference. I mean, how much, if you're only thinking of those from the goalposts, I'm not in shooting space. It's really, but yes, I am. And let's come down even closer. The difference, it becomes, it's quite magnified as you get closer. You get a complete different sense of, yeah, and of course, the rope is cutting through. You just have to suspend some disbelief there because of the physical setup of it. It really would be sort of here-ish ultimately when we get that close. And you can take the time and let people hold them a bit if need be.
Okay, a couple points. A couple points. People have to start with the longest rope because we all know that shooting space can occur with somebody on the 12. So if a person is sitting on the 8, the offensive player is coming down and showing it, shooting space can be called with the person, the defender at the 8 and the offensive person at the 12. The other note when actually doing it, as you saw that we had to do, is I use boards or pegs a lot when I present so that it doesn't clutter up how many people are here. And then what you have to do for the extreme tangents, hanging hash, first inside hash, is that you have to move your rope up to the center to get the true shape of the cone and the true shape of the shooting space. Okay? So there's a couple housekeeping things when you're doing your demonstration.
So using the ropes, here we have an example where you have our attacking player on that general space. Now, if she wants to move a little bit, she can. You could do that as long as she kind of ends up there. And let's have our defender, who's now from low, sees this player and comes up demonstrating her total awareness of what shooting space is and how to play defense correctly. Hang that one right across the line there. All right, you see the pictures in the books all the time in which she can cut in when she is within a stick length. All right, do this as many times as you want. Go ahead and demonstrate it one more time for them. In your groups, you'll do this as often as you need to for as many people as you have in your group that you're teaching. So she's coming, up to the ball, and you can attack if you want a little bit too. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. Okay, now she'll demonstrate it incorrectly where you can really see what, of course, none of these girls, we already talked about this, none of these girls would do this incorrectly, and they've been extremely well coached. We had to coach them to do it incorrectly. So, and now you see, there it is, right? You can see it. Okay, thank you. Free positions. Let's bring one over to the near side, and we'll have our next group. So in this example, let's say we have a free position on the first hash. So we've cleared an arc, and we've got our defenders cleared low. Our attacking player is going to be on the first hash, second hash, right. One of the nice things about having the ropes here, it allows us to start thinking a bigger picture, a bigger view, what's going to happen next. All right, what's going to happen next? What is likely to happen next? Here it is. We're going to show with the ropes, what you want to show your people is how quickly this low defender can get into the shooting space. So if you're the lead and in a two-person, you'd be the lead out here-ish. You've got to have your radar up, your, what we'll talk about, red zone, primary zone awareness for what's going to be in here. And this, the whistle blows, tweet, and she's bang, she can be, go ahead, tweet. Immediately, this player can be in shooting space, whereas now she has stepped out. These players, tweet, go ahead, takes them a lot longer, many more steps to get in there. You can see that with the cone. Let's do it again. The low defender, how quickly she's in, maybe 2 steps. She's arrived in the shooting space area, whereas defenders from higher up in this cone, you can step out, thanks, tweet, takes them 3, 4, 5 steps to get into that shooting space place. If we're at the center hash, so we're going to reset, yep, we'll have our defenders, let's have one low on each side. Yeah, perfect, one here, one there, and one second hash. So now, this is going to be more of a trail umpire's responsibility. She's offset a little bit. Awareness, what's the potential next play? Here, what I see, how many steps, if there's a two, you guys can just say the tweet, go ahead. And it's going to take them a few steps to get into the shooting space when we're in the center hash. Go ahead, back. This player here, tweet, it's going to take, again, a few steps. So my awareness of, you're showing the awareness of what the next play may be. My radar may be a little bit higher, especially if there's a defender. Let's put you on the hash on that side, just for demonstration purposes. I might be aware of these players here coming in, but I know that it's going to be more than one step for them to get there. I can see that on the visual. Whereas this player, it may be a foul on the body more quickly as she's going to go. Just something to be thinking of the next picture.
How are we looking at this as an official type of thing? Obviously, when you're looking at it with a local apprentice, you're trying to teach them what shooting space is. This is shooting space. Now, how can you challenge your upper-level local officials and people that are getting ready to stand for a district? You're trying to teach them to challenge them to read the game. So now, as Sheila being the trail official, she's just not, once we do our good job of telling everybody to stand, getting everybody set up, her now job is to scan and to see potential play, as Dave said. So you want to point this out to your officials. So Sheila's a trail official. There's a young lady over there. She is on the edge. We know that the lower they are to the goal, the quicker that they can get into shooting space. The higher or farther away from the goal that they are, the more steps it takes to get to shooting space. If there is a free position in the center and you have a lot of kids up and down the line, but they're from the middle up, they're up in this part here, what's the potential for shooting space? Pretty low. All right? So now we're putting that in our little clock. What other things can happen? So now this gives the official a chance that if two young ladies were standing next to each other on the same team, you're looking now for detaining and some more advanced type of things. So that what you're doing is you're taking your game to a higher level. Once you've mastered the building block of knowing what shooting space is, the next thing you want to do is get the advanced concept down, is that how can you find out more information before the play even goes off? All right? And then once they can do it in a free position, everybody's standing, everything's not dead, but standing, then what you're doing is you're challenging your official as they're coming up the field, and then you're challenging them to be able to read ahead. So now, Sheila, as the trail official is coming up, can you go to the one more a little bit? Yeah, so this would be Sheila's shooting, other hash. You are correct. Now, Sheila's responsibility is that she sees this young lady coming down. She sees the potential of those two players there. So as Sheila's coming down the field in live play, now we want to teach Sheila to be able to scan ahead, see through the ball, and see the potential for whatever those players are going to do. Okay, and I'll say this to you. Who would have the ball here? What is Sheila seeing? Backs and butts. What is the lead official seeing? Chest and sticks, plus the defender. So who has the best view of the play? So Sheila wants to be aware of the ball. She's aware of the player possibly going to goal, but her big thing is her really responsibilities of knowing what those other players are going to do. So that's the level of the building blocks that we want to take on here in shooting space. So it's not just teaching shooting space, it's getting ready for the potential next call.
And the next demonstration will show exactly that. So let's just move our shooting space rope over towards the second hash. We have a defensive player marking now here, okay? And we have a defensive player who's going to be our... So let's have, we'll actually go a little bigger. You can step out a bit, and you're coming down our other, do we have another attacking player behind? Let's have another attacking player, a pink. Okay, or you can switch to pink. You don't have to be in this, okay? Right, so we have kind of a realistic game situation. Play is coming down the trail side. We have a low defender, 36 black, who's marking sort of tightly on her player. As play happens, and this gal who does not right now have an opportunity to shoot, but if she dodges and beats her player, which she will do, the defender's going to come up correctly. Where's our defender? Is going to come up correctly, right? Oh, okay, incorrectly in this case. That's okay, we can do it either way, okay? Right, and then, so again, you can see with the rope, the correct positioning. We've got the perfect view of the trail of that. The lead has the view of the potential foul. All right, now let's have her do it incorrectly, all right? So the play is on, she's going, and she gets by, she dodges, and there it is, tweet, there's the whistle for the shooting space call. All right, so as Bonnie points out, there's so much you can do from the ropes to advance your game to see the bigger picture. We'll show you one more example of a girl marking directly behind. So we have an attacking player behind and a defensive player marking out front. I don't know who's doing it, but that's the one we're on. So this can be useful as well. You see we do have two more stripes of sort of, in this case, a rope-ish type material to show this region that's directly behind the goal. This is the exact same picture that's in the rule book, but again, we're doing it live, and you can see it. So let's have a little bit of correct movement as you're cutting through, right? She's cutting through. You can go all the way out and come through if you want. When she goes out, stop there. That's good. Once she comes out of that space, this player is no longer directly behind the goal, right? I mean, we're on a slightly different topic, but you've got the ropes there. You could talk about that. As she comes back in, let's say she's a little stationary and you're just guarding her. You're doing a great job. You can stay right in the middle. Stay right in the middle. I got her. 36 says, this is my girl. We all know this gal is exempt from 3 seconds, but she is not exempt from shooting space. And if you saw some of the DVD presentations, the video clips we saw today, even at very high levels of play, we saw this exact situation where the high-level Division I college player, I'm guarding. I've got my girl. I'm not doing anything wrong, and yet there she is in shooting space. All right, so it's a good visual to be able to see that one.
So now they've given you a lot of specific concepts, but we all know as umpires are coming up, we tend to lock on the ball. Can you hear me? Am I on? We get laser focus, and we just have just the ball, just the ball, just the ball. So how do you teach that? So in the big picture, we talk about opening up your view, not just a narrow view. Are you seeing just the ball? Questions you want to ask them. Are you seeing more than one set of players? Are you just focusing on the one? Are you able to see between the players? And how do you teach that? Will you have the best view of play occurring? We talked about backs and butts and chests and sticks and a lot of space, a lot of players. Who's going to cover what? So first we're going to show the lead umpire with just locked on view and what kind of field coverage we have when they just are looking at just the ball, one set of players, and nothing else going on. And then we'll talk, then you move on to opening their space up, and then we'll do the same with the trail, and then we'll do the both to see the overlap and how much better field coverage you have once you get the big view of what's going on instead of just the locked on view. So MJ is our lead, and if she's just on locked on coverage, laser focus, just the ball, she's going to get that foul on the ball. How much field is she seeing? How much is she looking at? It's just this little tiny space. Come up higher. So if there's players down low, players up high, she's not aware of them, she's not seeing them at all. So now if she opens up her view, high and low, come to me, yep. She opens up her view on one side, she's going to get a whole much larger picture, and it's going to give the umpire a much better idea of what we mean, because we say drop step, open up, and they just might not get it, but with the ropes it gives them a much better view. Now, bring that one in, and now if she opens up her other side, she opened up her step, and we just naturally do it. You'll naturally take a step, and now she's got all of this coverage, all of this space. And now the player can be anywhere in here, and she's going to be able to see them versus just the one locked-on spot. Okay, and now we'll do trail. The same thing happens with our trail. If we have our trail who's just watching the ball, just watching, and we've got red ropes with our trail, and if she just has locked on just the ball, we're going to see how little of the field and how little of the play she's actually seeing. So she's locked in, that's all she's got. So if anything's happening in the corner, you've got picks, you've got people cutting, she's not seeing the rest of the field. Now if she opens up her right side, come to me, this is going to give her a whole, much bigger picture. She's going to be able to see more players. She's going to be able to see more of what's going on. And then if she opens up her left side, now she's got the corner. She's got the corner of the 12. She's got her sideline. She's got those pairs that are down low. She's covering that whole space. Yep. So see how that space is, and then we're going to overlay, and we're going to see how much better field coverage we have with two umpires opened up to the whole field. So the blue ropes are what the lead is able to see when they're opened up. They've dropped step, they've opened up their vision. And the red ropes are what the trail is able to see. And versus just the little tiny view, if we've got two umpires locked on that little view, we're not seeing any of the game. We're seeing two players. This gives you a much bigger view. And look how much of the 8 we're covering. Look how much of the space and the number of players we're able to see. This helps visually. I'm a visual learner, so when I saw this, I thought it was great. I'm like, oh, all right, drop step, open up. You can see so much more of the play. One pair's down low, one pair's up high, the ball's up high. Now, MJ's view as the lead is the blue ropes. When she's opened up, she's going to be able to see both sets of players up high. And if she's just locked on, she's just picking a set and she can only see one or the other. But if she opens up, she's able to see both. Now if the ball's down low, she still needs to see these players. They might be picking, they might be cutting, they might be jousting, they might be pushing each other. She still needs to have an awareness of them, even if the ball is down low. MJ is also able to move and see between the players. She's able to keep moving. She's on the tangent between the players. She's able to see what's going on, so she's able to make a better call. Now we're going to move to the opposite side. Ball up high, please. Same thing with the trail. MJ still has her big picture, so she's still covering and she's still aware of where the ball is. But our trail now has all of the red space, and she's able to see all of the players. She's able to see between. She's using her offset like we talked about before. And if the ball's down low, same thing. She's not locked on. She's able to see. MJ has her big view. Sheila has her big view, and we're covering the whole field.
All right, just quickly now, you say you do the demonstration for the ropes, and then your player is going onto the field. Well, we'd all look a little ridiculous if we start standing around and we go like this all the time. The key point is it's a communication point, too, with your shoulders, and then some people just take their hands, do a little thumb, or put their hands like this, and what they're doing is they can mark themselves in what they're actually looking at. So some people teach that you should put your bottom towards the back corner. That works for pretty much 3/4 of it, but then it doesn't work so well when things go, if you have to cover high or you have to cover low. So now if I'm standing like this and I think about my shoulders are framing or my shoulders are taking this picture for me, then I know exactly how much I'm covering. And if you're a basketball player, you learn to do peripheral vision. And for officials, peripheral vision is very, very important, and that's something that they can practice. I always hate to hear when officials go to a game and say that game was boring. There was nothing going on. Well, I hate to tell you, but what you should be working on is your view. You should be working on your big picture. You should be working on your positioning to make it better. You should be checking your shoulders to make your shoulders are telling your partner exactly where you're looking. If I was standing like this, Sheila would know automatically if the ball was in that area, I had the ball. If I drop stepped and open like this, Sheila knows I gave her the ball, and I am now focusing because I think the next potential play is going to be right in front of the circle.
So the next thing is frames. And this is more detailed breakdown. I remember coming up and they told me, okay, watch this, look at this, watch off ball, look here, look at this. And I'm like, all right, big space, lots of things going on. How do you prioritize that? What is it you're supposed to be watching? Once you know your area of responsibility, there's still a lot of things that could be happening there. You could have stacks, you could have picks, you could have cuts. So we use frames, and we have red zone and we have yellow zone. Your red zone is your primary zone, the main thing you're looking at. And the yellow is going to be your awareness zone. I know it's there, but it's not on my top of my list right now. And both umpires have red and yellow. So instead of having this giant space that you are responsible for, now we're going to break it down and we're going to give it priorities. So if the ball is in MJ's side, that's going to be her priority. She's going to be watching that pair. But there might be a stack or a bunch of players here. She needs to know about them, so those will be her yellow zone, but the ball will be her red zone. And the same with Sheila on the opposite side. There might be highly contested players here, and there might be a couple down low. She's going to decide which ones are the important ones, which is the red zone. What is the most important? Players cutting and being closely marked, cutting towards goal, that's going to be a priority. A couple of players hanging out by the hanging hash, not really paying attention to the game, those can go into the awareness zone. We can't watch everything at once, and it's overwhelming for umpires as they come up to have all of that responsibility. And where do I look? There's a lot. Okay, this is my space, but then there's a lot of stuff going on. So this just breaks it down and gives you primary and your awareness. And it's the same drill we just did. But now we're going to use the frames to break that space down. So yes, MJ could see it all with her area of responsibility, but now if the ball is up high, the red zone is going to be her primary focus, but she's still going to be aware of those two. They could cut, they could be in shooting space, they could be picking. She's aware of them, but she's not focused on them. Now if the ball's down low, her focus is going to change. Where's the ball? That's going to be her primary zone. And then she's aware of the players up above. She knows that they're there. She's opened up enough so she can see them all, but she's not focused on these two. Her primary concern is here. Is there pushing? Is there shoving? Can she see between the players? And this will break it down for the umpires. They're coming up. Where do I look? What's my priority list? What's the most important thing to watch? Now we're going to go to the opposite side. And as trail, Sheila's going to have the same thing. She's got that great big space. She could have all the, when all the players load up on one side, and I've got everybody. What do I watch first? What's the most important thing? Well, if the ball's down low on her side, the most important thing is knowing where the ball is. And what does she see here? She sees the ball carriers, chests, and sticks. So she's going to have a really good view. So MJ's aware of the ball. And now her focus, she doesn't have to worry about those players up top. Sheila's focus down low. Her primary zone is the ball. Her secondary zone, she's aware of the players up top.
Okay. Unfortunately, my favorite part is the frames. It's the awareness zone and things like that. And again, it's a much higher level. And a lot of times we don't get that until the actual district level. Because of the amount of material that we wanted to present, there really wasn't time for you to ask questions after every little section. The handouts that we created for this are online for this session. And then if you have been trained and train the trainer, there's a whole section of the whole big picture of the movie. Everything that was done in the movie is in that section. The handouts for this are online for the actual convention. They did a DVD that is online. You don't have to have the CD to access the movie, and you can stop it, replay it, stop it, replay it. All right? When I do things outside with grass, I like to use 10 pegs, and then these are tarp little swingers. So what happens is your ropes swing real nice. Now, do you have to have all these ropes that I used for the demonstration this morning? Absolutely not. I have all these ropes so that we could efficiently show you all that material in this amount of time. All right? It's good to have a mixture of 50-foot and 100-foot ropes. Anything that you do for the tangent or anything like that, it's all 50-foot ropes. Anything for the trail, you need 2 100-foot ropes if you're going to actually demonstrate that. But most things you can get a couple 50s, different colors, and it would all work. All right? Again, I would like to thank Exeter Township High School for coming by and helping us out with the demos. And I hope officials always feel that you can grow and expand your game. I've been reffing for a long time, and I always feel that I can always grow and expand my game and learn new things. The game is getting very fast. Our picture must get bigger and bigger to keep the game safe. And I really appreciate you coming out here on Sunday morning. All right? Thank you very much.